Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Barbara Hayward, and I'm the old girl from the Old Girl Spiritual Stuff. Thank you very much for being here today. And today, hopefully, it's a short video. And but before we get into that, I would like to do just a little bit of housekeeping, and that is first off, there's a disclaimer that all the information that I give you here today or at any time is from my own personal experience of working in the spiritual field for over 40 years. I do not claim to be an expert in your life. I cannot tell you what to do, how to do it. The spiritual journey is a personal and private one, and all I can do is just share my experiences. And if this inspires you to look at yours, then my job is done. The second piece of housekeeping is please subscribe and please like. The subscription, of course, is free. And if you could just like and get all your friends to like, let's build this channel into a beauty. The world is in chaos at the moment, and we need some positive, good spiritual information or knowledge, if you like. Over the years, I have been blessed by meeting many, many people, thousands of people actually, and I at times I have. Okay, as an example, I was sitting around at the dinner table one night with some friends, people I had not long met, and we were talking numerology or something of that nature. And I said, "Oh, just a minute, I'll go and get my book." And a friend of mine said to me, "Oh, I thought you would have just been able to do it clairvoyantly, and you'll be able to give us all the answers from your clairvoyance." And I go, "Oh no, it doesn't really work like that." And that got me thinking. So I'm looking at maybe 30 years ago for that conversation, and it made me realize that I'm really, really good at what I do in my clairvoyance, and I'm really good at my mediumship and the spiritual knowledge that I have, the information that I'm able to part to you in conversation that is relevant to you. Now, I'm really, really good at that. However, there's the other part of it, and that is the clairvoyance and the mediumship and the healing and all that sort of area. That is for you. That's nothing to do with for me. It doesn't add or subtract into my life. Now so I've got that part working, and the other part is the part of my own spiritual development. And one of the things that I've noticed over the 40 years of conscious spiritual living is that um, I have been growing the whole time. Not every day. There have been times that I've slipped backwards. I do suffer depression, so I go into quite deep depression. And then life comes in, and I have to do a thing called life. I've raised children, I've got grandchildren, and now I've got a great grandchild. So life comes in, and I must, pay bills and things like that. So with having the ability to hear my people, or however it is that I work, and I'm sure for most medium clairvoyants, you would think that I call them my people, that our people would actually give us any information that required at any time, on tap, day or night. And the answer is sometimes we do, but not a lot. And if I can just tell a little urban myth, and this is the way it goes. So let's say, for instance, my mother, I'm 16, and my mother is the maths teacher at the local high school or college where I go. And not only that, but she's also on the board of maths teachers that creates the end of year exam papers, so that you either will pass or you fail according to the knowledge you have. Now, you would think that I would be able to go, now, Mum, you know you love me, and I know you love me, and you know I love you. As my maths teacher, I think you have a responsibility to give me all the answers so that when I go and sit for the exam, I'm going to get 100% correct. And because, after all, we're family, and we work together, and we have this great life, and that's what I think you should do. Now, some mums would, but the majority wouldn't. And the reason being is that when let's say my mother did that for me, then what happens is that when I go into the next year, I actually don't know anything from last year. So I'm not only going to fail, but I'm going to be behind the eight ball, so to speak. And so by giving me that information without me having to study or work through the problems or work through the formulas or whatever it is in maths, it's been 71, so it's been, I left school at 15, so it's been a wee while since I've been to school. So it's not going to benefit me. In fact, it will hinder me if I don't find the answers myself to the problems that I have, if that makes sense. So I've often thought about this, and in my spiritual journey of awareness and enlightenment, if my spiritual people, and I did have a teacher, and I have a video not yet put up, and I talk about the way she taught me, and she taught me in a very hard way. I won't go into that, but she certainly didn't give me all the answers. She made me go out and find them myself, because you see, in life itself, we have the same sort of problems as everyone else. We have medical problems, we have financial problems, we have relationship problems, we have locational problems, we have problems, career and jobs and things like that. And the reason we have these problems is because we're emotional human beings. And if we weren't emotional and we dealt with things on a practical level, there is a saying, you never have a problem, you just have a solution you don't want to make or you haven't figured out yet. And so when an issue comes up, where's okay, I'll use one that a lot of people go through. Okay. In 1996, I was living in Auckland in New Zealand at the time, and my business at that stage was going downhill very rapidly. So 1995 started to go downhill, really going down by the start of 1996. Now, I was a really well-known person around the eastern side of, the western side of the North Island of New Zealand, and so I had a reputation, and it was really good, and yet life was crumbling around me in business. Now, I really wanted what I call my people to tell me what to do. I wanted them to show me that it was going to be okay, that a miracle was going to happen, and that I didn't have to take the steps in business that it was looking like I had to. And so then life unfolded. I find myself in Auckland, and I find myself in the high courts of bankruptcy and solvency. And so I had to go bankrupt because there was no way through it. I couldn't see a way through it. I didn't owe a lot of money in those days. It was $3,000, but I became very ill and had a lot of the issues that a lot of people have when they're kind and nice people and wrong things happen. So when that was completed and I started to recover a little bit, I did ask Why didn't you help me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you let me not go through that? What was the reason for all this? And they said that if we had told you the end result, you wouldn't have learned the lessons you needed to learn. You wouldn't had the experience. And I said, well, what experiences? They were rotten. They were pretty bad. And you could have lightened the load for me. Like we lighten the load for so many other people. And why were you not lightening the load for me? And they said, you're on a spiritual journey, and that's a personal journey. We don't have the right to step in and stop the process of the lessons that you need to learn, from the activities that you need to go through to the procedures, the step by step to get practical and to be accountable and be personally responsible, and all those areas that you needed to learn regarding that area. But why did I have to go through it? You should have been able to stop me. You should have been able to help me. But that is not our job, they said. Your job in your spiritual growth is to go through your own experiences that are relevant to you. Okay, you had youngish family, teenagers, husband, and they had their own part to play in their own spiritual learnings and lessons out of it. But we can't alter that. We can't stop that. We can't make that not happen for you. Now, what did you learn from that? We would ask you. We want you now to ponder about where the growth comes from this. And if you don't understand the growth, what you needed to learn from it, unfortunately, you will need to go through a similar experience, not quite the same, but will have consequences of pain and anguish and humiliation, ego, battered around and upsetting and hurting people. So it's best to come in and resolve it now. So this is what happens to us when we're running this gauntlet properly. We go through an experience, and then I ask myself, what was this about? Number one, what is this about? What am I to learn from this? What did I not know that I now know? And in future, how can I run my life in a much more balanced, much more thinking and a personal, responsible way that others don't get so upset? So, what did I learn from that experience? I learned that I personally needed to understand, to take responsibility for the decisions I've made, to do proper groundwork, get my foundations. And that's one of the things that I talk in the other video about meeting Crystal and my teachings with Crystal, is that I needed to get my foundation solid. I didn't have enough knowledge of business, how business runs, for me to be able to run a business properly. So I had to lose it. And it was only later that I understood things in a deeper way. But the myth is that we get told everything, but we don't. We have to discover the outcomes. We have to discover our strengths, our personal responsibility, our thought process. Is our thinking creating havoc in our deliberate manifestation from the law of attraction? Am I living my word? I'm saying that I'm this a spiritual being, yet I'm behaving in a very abrupt way, or I'm not working in a caring, empathetic way that I say I am. So what are the contradictions that has allowed this to happen for me to learn the experience? You see, I wrote one day, we never learn anything in love bliss. We only have love bliss. We only learn when things go wrong. We learn in diversity or devastation, but we don't learn in that minute. We need to go through the experience of unhappiness or sadness or devastation or debilitation or paralyzation, all those words. And then once we start healing from that, we can come out and ask the bigger questions. If we did get told everything as spiritual workers, whatever, then we would not be growing as spiritual beings. And that is the part that I'd like to share with and really build into you today, is that okay, that is about certainly not the worst experience that's ever happened, but it was pretty high up there. So I've made myself vulnerable. I wanted to give you an experience that I had that wasn't just minor or incidentally. It was life shattering to us, and it was certainly life changing. Now, the lessons that I learned out of that took me 10 to 15 years after that. So it's just recently that I've come through that full journey, because as I've explained before, what happens in spiritual awareness, we have understanding. Our understanding is at the depth of our awareness. And so if my awareness is shallow and what we call surface, then the first peeling or layer of the onion will be about the surface stuff. Like, I shouldn't have bloody trusted that guy in the first place. I waited and waited for him to come into business, and I knew he wasn't going to come, and I should have followed my intuition, and yet he led me on, and the victimization. We've got to go through the victimization so that we can then go down the layers. And the deeper you go, the more awareness you have, the deeper the awareness of what that situation was presented to me and what I needed to learn as a human being, as a spiritual being, and as an active participant in life, in my family, and everything else. Now, where can you place this? Well, we're all working spiritually, spiritually, whether we know it or not. We work because we are primarily spiritual beings having a human experience. That I'll talk about another day. But because everything comes from the spiritual, even though it looks very physical, it has a spiritual deeper meaning. And for those who are on your spiritual journey, look for the deeper meanings. And some of the questions I ask is, what am I meant to see in this? What is this meant to show me? What is this trying to teach me about what I lack? So let's say that situation, I lacked true business awareness, protocols, systems, foundations. I didn't have any business acumen, and that sort of thing. What else was it trying to teach me? That not to trust so many people. Now, I'm not saying we can't trust, but trust with discernment. And I didn't have that word discernment. The other thing it was trying to teach me was my gut feeling, my intuition, my sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, was trying to tell me there was a real problem with this relationship with this person that was going to come in and take over and run the business as a CEO or as a manager. And because I waited too long, I waited 6 months where it was supposed to be 2 months, everything crumbled around me. And the other thing I needed to learn is to trust myself, not to listen to others, but to listen to that inner voice, gut feeling that I do want to do these things myself, but in a more compassionate awareness and understanding. Now, the other thing I had to learn about is what was the foundation that I was running a business on. And the foundation, as I go down the layers as well, I was running on the foundation of fear, scarcity, inner security. I had none of that. And so I needed security. I needed to be needed. I needed to feel worthwhile because I didn't feel worthwhile. There's a whole pile of subconscious psychological aspects that we needed to look at if that's the area that you like to look at as I am. So the myth is, So, okay, what is another question I would ask? In the physical world, I know that I participated in that actual event itself. There wasn't my name on the contracts and everything else. But why didn't I trust myself that I was enough to either pick the right person or to do it myself? And again, I have to go down the layers for me. And I can go right back in my whole life, and it's always been fear. It's been the basis of everything. So everything that goes wrong, which is, my life has been a lot. I've had a lot of harsh experiences. So in there, we find out what it is that I need to heal, what it is that I need to learn about, how do I need to trust myself more, what things do I need to put into place to make sure that it never happens again, that I can see the signs before it starts to go that way. It must have worked because it never happened again. So the myth that we know and we get told everything is really a myth. We don't. And we have to walk the hard walk and the hard path the same as you. Now, we can ring up a clairvoyant. I have my own personal clairvoyant that I ring up, and she guides me beautifully. We are also personal friends so that we can just inspire each other and encourage each other. And that's part of the spiritual walk as well, is that, and she actually brought this up today, is the fact that we don't know everything in our own personal lives, that we have to work with everybody else. But the difference is that we know that we have to walk it alone. We know the reason we have to walk it alone at those times when life experiences or spiritual lessons are coming in, and the awareness. I also know that our friends and our girlfriends, or our mates, our partners, life itself signs are all indicators of tools that we can use. And so our people will just sit back in the background, allow us to go. They won't let us to go anywhere that we're not, if it's not our time to pass over and it's not our time to have an accident, that they will keep us safe from those things. If it is our time to have an accident, they will stand back and allow us that accident, because there's learnings in there. But that's already inscripted into our soul plan before we come down, and that's another subject for another day. So hopefully I've been able to break myth. I wished it was that easy. It's the same as my friend Crystal. One of the rules that she said is that when you can formulate the question, I will give you the answer. And if you can't formulate the question, no amount of me giving you the answer, are you going to understand it? And so what is the question? And I asked her the question, and her aunt, I don't know the question now, that was 40 odd years ago. But I do remember she said, that's a really good question. Now go out in life, ask the universe, keep your eyes and ears open, look for signs, look for indicators, be inspired, listen to the wind, watch the ocean, let the ocean talk to you. Everything will talk to you. Everything will tell you everything you need to know. So by me doing that, I have a greater awareness and understanding and the depth of things. And that's what our people do. That if they come in and told me, on a particular day in this particular year, you're going to do this, then I wouldn't have had the whole range of different emotions, experiences that I needed to have to get to the place of full awareness of what was going on. And that awareness wasn't in the moment. That was the physical things I had to do. So when you're going through something and you're working spiritually, please don't think that it's going to be easy peasy, because I've had so many of my friends say it seems to be a lot harder for us. And in a way, I think it is, because it's not that we should know better. It's not that at all. It's because we've got possibly some extra tools. And those tools are awareness, to be able to read our lessons of the past. We know how to talk to our people for confirmation or for support, or to be guided to the right things. And we understand also that our human friends are there to love and support us a little bit more than maybe some people who don't have these abilities that we've got. Hopefully this has helped you. It's a little longer than I had planned to be today, but I think that's just going to be the way it is. And the myth is, no, we do not get any support for our learnings, our awarenesses, our life lessons than anybody else. We can be told certain things and encouraged in certain areas, but the hard yards, the hard work we have to do. The difference is we know our people stand behind us. We know that God is there, whoever God is to you. We know the angels are there to support us, our guides and helpers, our people in spirit, and the way that it's there. And I'm losing my shawl. You weren't supposed to see my blue top underneath. But, these are not the highly professional videos that you would expect from other people. It is what it is, and they are purely from me. So I hope I have enlightened you here today. I've given you some food for thought. Know that we walk with you. We do have the same struggles that you do. We have the same fears and anxieties. We just have that possibly a bit more awareness when we're open to it, to understand that we will get through it, that we will be growing in enlightenment and in awareness. And those things then we can share on. So thank you very much. I hope you've got something out of today. And until next time, blessings to you and to yours. And be safe, be kind, and please don't forget to breathe. We all forget to breathe most of the time. So it's the old girl here saying, until next time, good night.